good with YouTube. You already know Vick from a conference perspective. You already know what time it is. Coming directly from the county jail, man. Still with a positive attitude, smashing, dashing, sliding on through with a whole lot of energy, man. Always, man. Stay blessed. Hope everybody's having a positive day, man. And before we get to this video, you guys already should know what to do. But if you don't, man, please hit the like, subscribe, comment, because all that stuff helps me, man. It helps these videos hit the algorithm, man. Go back, hit the like button, watch the old videos, man. Do whatever you can to help support your boy if you can, man, because I really do appreciate it. And don't forget, hit that bell notification for future fire content. So, I can't put the title something I want to discuss because this is something that's really not talked about, and people don't discuss it. And there's proof in the pudding in the things I'm going to be talking about, and it has to do with the prison gangs. The untold situations or scenarios that will get an individual green-lighted that's not talked about, okay? There's certain things that we have, within all these organizations in California where a green light can be put, and, whether it's, backstabbing, corrupt politics, but these two things are really hardly ever talked about, okay? And those two things, right, are one, religion, okay? Two, the second one is going to be your health, okay? And I got some prime examples and a couple people that are very well known when it comes to prison gangs and prison history. There's a couple people that have been green-lit throughout the years. One of them actually got fucking hit before, and that was James Tibs Morado. Now, as people know, Tibs was going through some changes, in old age, okay? He had just filed for compassionate release. He had got that denied. He tried to use health issues to try to push that agenda. Okay. Now, in addition, he started to practice, and pretty much started to, look into studying Islam religion. Okay. He started to sit there and have relations with individuals that were into Islam, and he started to pretty much start doing this. And this is kind of like people started to feel like that he was pretty much going senile, that he was losing it. After all this time being done and being down and being in his 70s, people really thought that he was losing his mind. And as we know, they ended up hitting him. Okay? Now, a lot of people were mad about Tibs getting hit. Okay? They were like, oh man, Tibs was, Tibs is a legend. He's one of the ones that put together a lot of the education and a lot of the communications. He was one of the ones that ran the organization. He was intelligent. His name came off a famous, Greek god. All this stuff was always discussed about Tibs, but at the end of the day, people forget he was a murderer. He was responsible for a lot of hits, including, the killing of his own wife. It was a young 20-year-old woman. And, Tibs is dead today. Rest in peace to Tibs and all that, right? But at the end of the day, though, let's not pretend like that he was some Boy Scout that was doing the greater good in the community. He had caused a lot of damage in the community. Now, as it's been discussed before, a lot of people don't know about this, but very few do. Tibs, Corny, and Pinky all made a pact that if any one of them had ever decided to flip, they were going to kill each other's mother. Okay, this is 100% confirmed fact. They had that because at that time they were the three sitting generals. Okay, now with Tibs getting hit, like I tell people, one, you can't serve two masters. Okay, either you're going to be fully committed to the organization or you're not. There's been people who have left after 18, 20 years of service who start to, involve themselves in religion. And when it comes to these organizations, you have to pick and choose. When you get married into an organization like the NF, right, you're basically asked, do you put this before your family? Are you willing to kill your family members? Are you willing to take one on the chin? Are you willing to kill for your brother? All these questions are asked when you get married. Pulled, recruited, whatever you call it. And there's a blood oath and there's a blood out oath. And that goes for pretty much every prison organization. So with Tibs, right, Tibs was basically green-lit for a couple reasons. One, as you get older, you become more of a threat to the organization. You know where all the dirty secrets are at. You know everything that's happened all these years. And you're always going to be a threat to expose or put people on blast. And that's one of the things that he was doing at this time was he was exposing stuff towards the state of stuff that was going on in the past with the feds. So he basically became a thorn in their side. He became basically a threat. And with him involving himself in religion, that's a no-no. You can't serve two masters, okay? When you commit yourself to any one of these organizations as a canal, right, or as a brother, whatever it may be, whether it's A, B, or any of these other organizations, you're taking an oath. You put that before anything else. Therefore, you can't be a true Christian. You can't be a true Muslim. You can't be true anything but to that organization. That is your religion, okay? The NF calls this Constitution, it calls it the Bible, the Biblia. This is your Bible because this comes even before God. So therefore, once he started to, engage in Islam, right, as well as all the stuff that he was doing, he became a threat towards the organization. And even though I don't advocate or promote violence, what happened in accordance to the Constitution and in accordance to how the organization operates was what's supposed to happen. He was supposed to get hit. He was a threat. So a lot of people, just because you have, a relationship with someone, a lot of people are like, man, he was a good dude, he was this and that. Like I said, he was a killer. So he was nothing short but a criminal his whole life. He was doing bank robberies with his kid in the car at the time. Back in the 70s. So he was who he was, and that's why he got greenlit. Now there's another individual who we've all seen in movies, right? They've made characters about him and whatnot, who was also greenlighted at one time, and nobody talks about it. And that was Joe Morgan, peg leg. Okay? The reason why Joe Morgan was greenlit at the end of his life was because he had cancer. He was dying. And see, the belief of these organizations is this. Once you have so many years and you get older, there's always the possibility that you repent for some of the choices and decisions that you make. There's always the threat that you could sit there and turn on your brothers and expose organizational bids. Therefore, if you start to get sick or claim that you're sick and you go senile, right, and you're doing all this crazy stuff, and you get cancer and you get terminally ill, you're always going to be a threat to your fellow brothers that you may tell. You may have a change of heart. Because like I said, when you commit to these organizations, you're committing yourself before God, before your family, before anything. And a lot of times people, as they get older, they start to have a change of heart. They no longer want to put the organization first and foremost. Now they start thinking about God. They start praying, They start wanting to make that change. Look at the brother, Flaco from Santa Rosa. Greenlighted. One of the reasons why he decided to break away and leave the NF was because of God. He wanted to practice his religion. He clearly states it wasn't for no other reason. And at one time, Flaco was one of the firmest believers in the organization as an NR member. You know what I'm saying? He's doing time for a brother. He's doing time for representing the organization. Yet as soon as he started to embrace religion, he finally realized that you can't serve two masters. And see, this is something that people don't realize when they make these commitments. They decide later on, okay, maybe it's not for them, right? But when you make these decisions, you're committing for life. You're making a blood oath, blood in, blood out. All that stuff that you see in the movie, it's true, it's real. That's how serious the commitment is. When you get asked to be involved or married in any of these organizations, that's the kind of questions you ask. Can you kill one of your family members if they do this and do that? Could you do that? Everything else is secondary. And for those of us that are late bloomers in life, right? And what I mean by that is have now decided to walk a path of whatever religious beliefs that we have. And I'm not going to sit there and use religion as a church, but just belief. We realize that at times we can't serve two masters. And see, this idea really came to me when I was watching the Kilroy movie, and I was watching stuff, and I was, the part about serving two masters and about how the dude got killed and how much of a believer he was in. He really had a belief in what he believed in. And see, that's why it's untalked about within these groups. That's why religion is basically taboo. And Christian religion is not supposed to exist in the belly of the beast. There's a lot of evil around you. Therefore, everybody's corrupt, everybody's evil, everybody's with the business. But nobody ever talks about the consequences. Nobody ever talks about you could have 30, 40 years as a service member. Someone like Tibs. Tibs had been a member, for almost 40 years. And he decided to hit him. Over 40 years, hold on. Tibs had been a member for over 42 years. And even though he hadn't debriefed or he hadn't told or he hadn't done anything like that, right? Because he wants to indulge in a little bit of Islam religion, because he spoke truth, and because they felt that he was getting weak in old age and getting sick and start to maybe expose a little stuff that he shouldn't have been exposing, they decided to whack him. The same decision they tried to do with Joe Morgan. He was getting old. He was no longer the godfather of fucking, his organization. He was getting sick. On his deathbed, he didn't look well. And everybody knows when you get cancer, you don't. It's a slow. You die fast, but you can also die slow. And therefore, in that moment of going through what you're going through, sometimes people will have a spiritual epiphany. They decide to change their ways. Therefore, like I said, these are the two things that nobody talks about that'll get you on the green light, that'll get you on the hit list in a matter of seconds. Just those things right there. Like I said, you can't be old age and starting to forget things, and you know what I'm saying? You can't get terminally ill and all of a sudden want to get out and compassionate release, and they're going to be your organization, your brothers, especially those that are politicking, that are campaigning to fill your position, are going to be the first ones that are right there like vultures trying to get you moved out, trying to get you moved on because they want to fill your position. Anyways, I thought this would be a good topic to talk about because, like I said, a lot of people always want to talk about, well, this brother did this, or this is what happened in the history, the NF, or the MA, and nobody talks about those that have been greenlit just because they wanted to change, because they've seen a different way of how they want to live their life. And there's people who've had to pay for those consequences, And there's some that, fortunately, were able to walk away before their life ended. Let's just say that. With that said, your boy Flacco from a comics perspective, man, I'm out.